Having concluded his research, Steinitz wrote a book called Modern Chess Instructor, which was published in 1889. This book caused such a stir and created a following, which in chess theory terms is referred to like as a Steinitz school of chess, so to speak. These were people who believed in Steinitz ideas and propagated them and perfected these ideas. We are talking Lasker, we are talking Max Ever, we are talking Tarrasch. Tarrasch was one of his best students, actually, who was very meticulous and also very strong. Steinitz's idea suffered from a certain dogmatism which he had and developed, where he would defend his ideas to death, even if it meant losing games. But his students, people like Zukertort practically developed the Queen's Gambit as an opening. And one of his most amazing students, Tarrasch, went on to develop some interesting and amazing ideas in chess, which are still being used today. And Tarrasch was particularly talented and not only developed openings and developed systems and how to play them. An example is the following position from a game of Tarrasch. So Tarrasch is white and he plays e4, e6, and we've got the French on the board. After d4, d5, knight to c3, knight f6, white goes e5. So this is theory. And now white goes knight to e2, which looks a bit illogical at first until you realize what he's doing. He realizes that this pawn center here is very important and needs to be maintained for as long as possible. So after c5, he intends to support it with c3, which is what happens in the game. c5 by black, white goes c3, and after knight here, he goes f4. Black takes and white takes, and he goes check. Now Tarrasch skillfully exploited the seizing control of the black squares, which today has become typical of the many variations of the French. And here play continued bishop d2. The exchange of this dark squared bishop is to white's advantage because these pawns in the center are on dark squares, which limits the scope of this dark squared bishop. So black goes queen to b6, and here Tarrasch supports d4 because the last move that black played was putting a lot of pressure on the square d4. So he develops a knight and protects the pawn. Black castles, and now Tarrasch takes on b4. Queen takes, queen goes to d2, knight goes to b6, and he goes knight here to c3. He's now got a sufficient hand on the pressure on d4, using his knight on f3 and his queen. And if the knight comes to c4, he's just going to eliminate it if need be. So black goes rook d8. And now Steinitz, Tarrasch goes knight to b5, and he's obtained a clear superiority in the position, having carried out a his plan of controlling the dark squares. And it's amazing because you still see this same exploitation of this kind of advantages in today's game. And this was how, having taken the baton from Steinitz, he moved on the development of opening theory forward. And you see this process constantly as we research further into opening development.